first bullet you have is discussion on tag funds and request from DEP.
Yep, that was just left on from last time. I am going to send town council per Dr. Pocket's request with all the other things. I did not do that after last meeting, but, he did request that I send a message to town council with DEP's request to utilize the
Okay.
LSP, so I'll do that.
This is still their permission thing
To
for,
allow
the class action folks to be able to get information from Scott.
to
And
basically use it
first,
as a
right.
question asker.
Okay. The informational meeting for residents.
Things are hard to plan. So I sent out my proposal that kind of has shifted, and I think everybody saw that.
I'm not sure I did.
The document that I made that had the question period.
Oh, yes, the one you were gonna send out to people.
Yes, that's what I
Okay.
want to send out to people. Andrea has been very non-responsive. I finally got a response last Thursday saying she can do it, but now we're kind of in my time frame that I was hoping to start the process. So my final offer is June 1st. That's the first Monday in June.
Okay.
And I just think it's better to take our time getting questions and make sure we really cater this meeting to what the public wants to hear about from DEP, DPH, us, and it will also give time to help try and ensure that we have the PRPs and LSP present. So as long as she agrees to that, which I think she will, that will give us a month for questions to gather them, a month to get those questions answered and produce meaningful responses, and then we would have the meeting. And then at that point, we would go through the different groups. They would be able to answer any questions that were received, and there would also be a small portion for more questions at the end of that meeting in case people did not. But that is the plan. So June 1st, 6 p.m., and then that notice will go out. And I was actually hoping, Norma, I could potentially send it to you, because I know that you have kind of like a public-facing, you get people watching your stuff. So if you can post our kind of blurb that we were having, I was hoping that, and then we would also reach out to the PIP group and have them send it out, so we hopefully get a lot of residents' input, and then we can, again, cater the meeting towards really what residents have questions about. We don't want to repeat information that they've already heard, but, it's just kind of repeating it for the sake of it. We want to really make sure that we're answering any new questions about the water line, I know is a big one, and then proceed from there.
What arrangements are you making with Oakmont? Because that's where we're planning to have this, correct?
Yes, Oakmont and the senior center as a backup.
Because realize that Oakmont charges for use of the auditorium.
Okay, that's good to know, yeah.
And that you have to pay an AV person often to be there. So just be ready for that and to have that in line. You just can't kind of walk there one day and say, hey, guess what?
Well, and that's also why I keep pushing it, because the closer it gets, the more likely they are to be booked, and then it's just been chaotic to try and plan it. So, but I appreciate that input, because we'll definitely plan to.
I'd be interested to know if Oakland's gonna charge the town to use the auditorium.
Well, they charge the music department to use the auditorium.
That's funny money. That's funny money, isn't it?
No,
Yeah.
it's not.
But anyways.
We'll keep it in mind and make sure.
That's why for a good while we were having concerts at Monty Tech, because it was cheaper there than at Oakmont.
I'd be fine to stand up at the town meeting and try to lower their budget, the amount that we'd have to pay them.
Well, I'm just
Make a fuss.
all that I'm telling you is just be prepared for that, and that's why I'm saying make sure you do this early so
that
this
it
is
can
taken
be
care of.
That's a good point,
schedule.
and I'm glad you brought it to my attention, and I'd like for you to keep me informed if that's the case. I mean, regardless, you know, if the town has to pay, the town has to pay. But it doesn't mean that Ed isn't gonna make a fuss about it.
Why can't I spell auditorium?
We did, maybe the state paid, cause they set up those meetings, like,
I mean, all I know is the music department has to pay for concerts.
I think it'd be interesting to ask Mr. Baldy if they had to pay, but I would suspect it'd be the same sort of deal. You know, they get money from the state and they're gonna charge the state. The school budget comes from the town and they're gonna charge the town. Doesn't have a common sense test.
Yeah, but part of it too is the fact you're paying the AV person.
is that for the PowerPoint type equipment?
AV,
Well,
like
the
you know, like the
presentation.
person who's gonna set it up, the microphones, things like that.
Oh, perfect, okay.
But it may not apply. I'm just telling you, the music department has had issues.
No, I
That's
appreciate
why I
it.
would check into
No,
it, just
I'm
so
not
you
sure
know,
we check.
that's all.
Once we get that confirmation, we're booking immediately, because I'm done planning, I'm over it.
Okay.
June 1st
Okay.
is our date.
Okay, next thing I have on here is, we had an appeal of the 2 orders that we put out. And that is scheduled for when?
Actually, I don't think they confirmed, but I did send them a message last week that we received it. And that we were planning for that second,
And do you want me to print this paperwork? I didn't have to came in the mail.
if you want, April 6th
Right.
is the date that I.
Our next meeting. Yes?
Yeah,
Yes.
that's our next meeting,
Okay. And town council is going to be there.
Yes, they confirmed that they would be able to make that.
Okay. All right, and, town council, sent a letter to MMF's council requesting the email addresses and telling them that they weren't using canned spam act correctly. And they've sent something back saying, tough luck, we're not gonna give you the email addresses.
Well, it was in legalese, I wouldn't quite put it that way, but
Well,
yeah.
no,
Yeah,
no, I
ultimately-
put it that way.
Oh, yes, I get it, I get it, yes.
This,
But basically it was in legalese, that just basically says is that, no, we disagree with this is why we disagree with this, and we're not going, therefore, we're not going to do it.
right, I think they shifted their defense from the canned spam act to, we don't think it's ethical.
Well, it was, they were both on there, they still kept canned spamming, but it was, yes, they were saying it was ethical, and that, that this would be, could be an invasion of privacy of each of the individuals, and, all that kind of.
When we're done, yeah, no, make sure you write it down so.
No worries, I'll
Yeah.
try. I had that look on my face, I was gonna lose it, huh?
No, I just react
I'm
from wherever, I
teasing,
don't
yeah,
write
I'm
it
with you.
down, I lose
Yeah,
it.
that's what they said.
I sent something to Jeff over the weekend saying, what gives here? Have you heard anything from anybody on anything? So we're still waiting for town council. Town council's input was that Abby didn't have to take any action on the new letter that came from Mass Natural, and I sent out something over the weekend that said, well, where do we go from here?
Okay.
Okay. And you know nothing else.
I've heard nothing else.
Would you follow up with him?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they're waiting for the same meeting to discuss.
I don't know why they would,
Yeah, I don't know.
because we're not involved in that at all. We've turned that over to town council, and it's between town council and MNF's council. Alright. So everybody's aware, the interim phase 2 report showed up online over the weekend, on Mass DEP's website. It's there for everybody to read and get what they want out.
Requested Scott Parker give us a Spark Notes version.
Okay.
Just give us a brief, like, here's the important things from it, 'cause I know it's quite long and very long. So, he can review, he said it would take him a few weeks, but he'll get us.
Yeah, I read through it. There was an interesting bit of science in it on Crocker Pond, where they were able to estimate the flow leaving the pond and the flow from the 5 streams going into the pond. And they come up with the conclusion that all the water's accounted for except 2%. So there's only 2% coming up from the ground into the pond, which is interesting science that I need to figure out for my own curiosity, if nothing else,
Yeah, it's
on
intense.
how all that works. But just so everybody's aware, it's available there for everybody in the world to take a look at. Also, at the same time, they put the last monthly report, the IRA report for the site is available on that same database. And in the middle of the week, last week, Mass DEP issued a unilateral
Administrative order, unilateral administrative order.
administrative order that I believe was provoked by them not meeting the deadline for the Woodland Loop water system at the end of 2025. And just to be very general in nature, the unilateral order gives specific milestones over the next year and a half to run the water line up to the intersection of Bean Porridge Hill and South Ashburnham Road and the whole Woodland area group, with specific deadlines for like when the design needs to be officially done, when the contracts need to be issued, as well as when the houses need to be connected.
Yes, but I have a question on that. Do they, do the parties have an option to appeal that?
Yes, they
I'm
do.
sure they
Yeah,
do, yes, they
that
do.
was my thought, my question.
They have 21 days to appeal it.
Yeah, and then basically they can say that this is unreasonable because of such and such or whatever, and that they go through some negotiation or whatever to reestablish dates. I'm just trying to picture what's gonna happen down the line.
I think it's impossible to figure out what will happen down the line. I suspect that they could appeal it. Mass DEP could say they'll modify it slightly, or they could say, no, we're not gonna modify it at all, in which case then they can appeal it throughout the court system. Whether or not that will change any, if ultimately it comes out that they have to abide by the order, whether that changes any dates in the order, I don't know.
Yeah, that's sort of what I'm curious about.
Okay. But that's the same thing that can happen with our two orders.
That's right. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I would, when they call it a slightly different name, I just was curious that, is that indeed the same process that everything has to go through?
Yeah. Everybody's gonna get their due process or they get sued for civil rights violations.
And pay $25,000 a day.
Right. Been there, done that. Do we have anything else on,
I just don't believe there's anything else besides finalizing dates and just moving forward with the appeal stuff, so no, I think
yeah,
we're all set, yeah.
I'm just talking about PFAS
Yeah.
specific.
I don't think so.
Yes, sir.
So, I don't know if this was proposed before, I was at, well, not only was the last meeting, it was 2 meetings before when this issue came up. I'm on South Ash, so I'm in the contamination zone, lucky me. So about the email list, so if the people who are holding the list are really concerned about privacy, couldn't they push an email out to all of the people on the list asking whether they wanna opt in or not? I mean, just like you have an opt, I mean, if I get that email, I'll say, sure, I'll be happy to share it with my fellow.
I mean, but you sent out postcards to everybody, is that correct?
Yeah.
So everybody was notified and given an option to join in.
To join in where we're all sharing emails, I'm just
No,
specifically
okay,
addressing.
okay.
Abby, you sent out the card, so why don't you?
Yes, so we sent out postcards to everybody in the PFAS, zone, and that basically said there's a PIP group that exists, here's the little scan code, it'll give you a Google link, and then you put your email in, and so that list would actually not be managed by us, that would be managed by the PIP group, because they're the ones that would like to have a fully comprehensive, or really are, you know.
But they
pushing
refuse to
people.
share that database, that's the, am I understanding correctly, that's the issue, that,
They wanted, the
Where's this?
PIP group would like the list from Mass Natural for simplicity's sake, and they're refusing, so
Right,
that is why
so
we did the
could
letter.
that be done via an opt-in, or just, you know, they've got a list, somebody's got the database?
Well, let's just, right now, there's a list from the postcard that the PIP group has, which I believe was in the 90s, right? 92, 93, something like that. And all the post office addresses, they have all the post office addresses.
Of everybody with.
Everybody that's in the entire area. They, probably at the meeting you were at, wanted this email list. I don't know how much more that's gonna give them than what they've already got. But, you know, we're trying to be responsive, okay? And so, the town fathers agreed that, they would, get town council involved. Now, council sent a letter to their attorneys saying, we want this list, give it to us. And they've come back, now, this is my reading of it, whether it's accurate or not accurate. But they've come back and said, no, we're not gonna do that. And that's where we stand right now. So we need to find out, the board needs to find out. We don't control town council. The only way we get access to town council is through the town fathers. They control all of that. We can't even hire outside counsel if it was in our budget without them approving it. So they control all the legal end of if something involves attorneys. So that, with that being said, we need down to take, we only got the copy of the response from their counsel late last week. And now we need to find out from the town's council, where do we go from here, and whether or not the town fathers will authorize us doing that.
So, and I'm not trying to argue the point, and I do
Sure.
appreciate, I thought your recommendation to kind of punt it over to the Board of Selectmen who control the budget, I thought that was a good idea. All I'm saying is that if they're gonna continue, they being the offending parties, are gonna continue to get hung up on privacy issues, and I won't get into intent, what's really behind this, but if that's really their concern, is privacy, and we don't wanna pursue it further in the courts because it costs a lot of money, all I'm saying is, let's test their genuineness, if you will, and say, all right, if you're concerned about privacy, push out an opt-in request to these people and say, would you be willing to have your name go out to a general database that's controlled by the parties? See what they say.
That's certainly a proposal
Yeah.
that at some point, our town council can say to their counsel, all right, we heard what you said, please send out an email to everybody on the list asking if they're willing to have their email.
Yeah, sure, I could just see this going back and forth, the town's gonna say, I mean, how much are we gonna put into this, and they've got a lot more to lose, so I can see them, and they've got attorneys that they're probably paying anyway, to say, all right, we're just gonna keep saying no, take us to court, and the town may not wanna do that, and I guess I kinda understand that, so I'm thinking, let's test the waters and say, just get an opt-in list, so, that's all I wanted to throw out.
There's one question that keeps going through my mind though. You send out something to everybody. Where do you reach a point where you have to where you sort of need to make the assumption that maybe some of these people don't want to be bothered? Where they have decided, look, you know, I'm satisfied where things are. I don't want anybody sending me emails. I don't want anything else. I don't know where that point is. You say you have 90. We have 90 something out of, what was it, 135? Is that the right numbers? Or what was the number?
The exact, it was 200.
I sent out 200.
Okay, it's 200, okay.
Give or take.
Okay, I mean, I just don't know. It's just, if I received a card like this, and I certainly was concerned about it, my email would be in already, okay? You know, it would be right away. How many people or where do we have to stop asking people for their email addresses? You know, in other words, and then maybe some of these people may not want to receive emails. That's why they didn't apply in the first place. I'm playing devil's advocate here, I know.
No, I'm with you, maybe I don't fully understand what the real ask is, but I think I got one of those cards, and I believe I did the barcode scanning, so I'm probably one of the 90 that you have on there. I guess the question is, so, I don't know why another 100 people didn't opt in, right, to get it, maybe they're concerned about where it might go. But I guess when I opted in, or when I scanned the barcode, I sent you my email address, so it's sitting in the database that we're asking to get.
Right.
And they're saying we can't give it to you because of privacy. So even if it's just the 90 people that shared their email address, they're saying, well, you didn't opt in to share it with anybody else. So what I'm saying is ask those 90 people whether they mind sharing their email amongst the group. That's really what we're asking for, correct? Is to be shared with amongst
no,
the 90.
it's the other, it's that 90 something shared.
Right, could those names be shared?
It's the rest of them that.
Yeah, if they haven't shared their email address, then I guess they don't want to be.
Yeah, I mean, is that a reasonable assumption? I don't know, I don't have friends up in that area, I don't know. Is it that a reasonable assumption that maybe some people just don't want to be on the email list?
May I please?
Yes, please, I don't know the answer to that.
I get it, but there should be an option, right? Like they have these email addresses that is important that we have them to communicate with these residents. And if they don't want to opt in, they should email somebody saying, I'm good, I would like to unsubscribe, but we're not giving residents that option. And it's not in their best benefit for these attorneys for us to have those emails. It's not in their best interest, which explains why they're fighting, right? It's not, yeah.
Yes, I agree with you with that, and it's not in their best interest. Because if I were an attorney on the other side, I'd be pulling everything out of the air to not do it. But at the same time, I'm thinking about there probably are people who just don't want to give out their email address, and because they don't want to be, they for whatever reason, they just don't want that information coming to them anymore. And I don't know where do we draw the line to say, okay, there are still some people who aren't going to give the email address. We'll work with the group that we have. And I think you have to think
that would be my understanding, is that people who have voluntarily turned their emails over,
right.
Those are the people that are active, want the information, and still if the people holding the list go back out and say, would you be willing to have your email address shared with this group? Again, it's another opportunity to opt in or opt out. Say, no, I don't want it, or yes, I do want it, you know?
Well, I think it certainly is something that you can ask. I would be surprised if the other attorney said yes, but it certainly is, I don't see any harm in asking.
Yeah, I don't, well, and again, they're gonna throw more roadblocks up, because that's
They
their
will.
job, I
Yep.
get that. But if they're hiding behind privacy laws, then I would say if you push out an email that says, would you be willing to opt in, you're not violating privacy laws, they're already in touch with these people, they've got the email address. See what they say, I agree with you, they're probably still gonna find some way to say no, you know, but at least it pushes them a little bit. Anyway, it's frustrating.
Thank you. So, can we go back to the order to Mass Natural to test the 193 POET systems by May 1st? Did they appeal that already? Did I understand that correctly? So they appealed it already, and then what is the next step after they appeal that?
It'll be at the next meeting to physically, they have to have a hearing.
Right.
We have to grant them a hearing, and that will be at the next meeting.
So they will be here at the next meeting appealing that?
Yes.
That I'm assuming is George Haler.
Don't know who's gonna.
Okay. Or the MNF attorneys.
Counsel.
Yeah.
And a hearing is done very similar to how a hearing is done in a courtroom. There won't be any audience participation. It's only the people who are appealing it and the board.
Got it.
Everybody can come and listen
Right.
and whatever's going on.
But we are having our lawyer here though, too.
What's that?
We are having our town council lawyer here.
Yes.
And will our town lawyer will be able to question them and their appeal reasoning?
Generally, when town council comes to a hearing like that, they're here to assist the board in any questions that the board has.
Okay.
There's generally not a lot of questioning from town council to MNF's council. Most of the back and forth is between MNF council and the board.
Got it. Okay. And then would it be considered public record, their appeal? Could that be posted on the town page, their appeal letter?
Sure.
Yeah? Okay.
Will you do that, Abby?
Yeah.
Thank you.
If you just send do you know how to send a records request?
Yes.
File them.
Yeah.
so
Send
just-
record.
We try to go through.
Will this be posted on the town page though, or just emailed to me because I'm requesting it?
Typically just email to you, cause you mean on our literal website page? Is that
Yeah,
what you're asking?
yeah.
There's no reason why it shouldn't be
There's no-
posted on Westminster PFAS, whatever it is.
Our town website,
Right.
meaning the Board of Health
Yeah.
page on, as long as that's okay.
Yeah, there's no reason.
Yeah.
Everything that we do is public, except when we go into executive session.
Right.
And there are only very limited ways we can go into executive session. And even executive sessions become public when the matter is resolved. So anything that comes before the board is all public information.
Thank you.
Probably just put it all into the PFAS and I'll probably put all of the correspondence then, because just so you can see
Yes.
that.
I mean, I will post it myself, but I think it would be a
No,
good
that's
idea.
fine.
Yeah.
I thought you meant just for your posting, but yeah, on the town website,
Yes.
I can create a section and show you where it is.
Thank you. And then I have here the POET configurations request that you had put in for,
That was also in the orders. Same.
which so all it was in one order and they appealed the whole thing.
There are two orders. One is on the decommissioning of wells after they've been, a home has been connected to municipal water. And the other one has to do with water quality issues, which has to do with filter configurations and stuff like that.
Got it. Okay, thank you. So,
And there's no reason why those can't be posted.
No, that's what I was just saying.
Okay.
I'll do all of them if I'm gonna do any,
Yeah.
just so it's clear why those are there.
Yeah.
So my last question here, I think last meeting we discussed residents asking for outside of business hours for Morse Brothers to come and service their poets. And I think the answer that I received last meeting was that this was a Mass DEP issue. However, when we brought that to Mass DEP, they said that they've never heard of such request. So
It's actually something that MNF and MSDEP have been discussing. But rather than it being, I would suspect that MSDEP, I don't think Mass DEP is gonna get involved in a way to tell Mass Natural how to do it or what to do. I think that's mainly a Mass Natural fertilizer issue between the residents and Mass Natural.
right, so somebody has to make them do that. Who can make them do that?
So just as so Mass DEP has discussed with them a few times though at those meetings that because we have these meetings where it's Mass DEP, us, the PRP's LSP, and they have discussed it a few times and they have requested, I think, that they make more times available, but they haven't put a deadline to when to do that. And I believe Lessard has opened up a few outside dates.
Okay, so Lessard has
weekend.
already opened up.
Lessard through there, if I remember correctly, do you remember that? Lessard
No.
had specifically had, I think, one day open on the weekends that people were pretty receptive to. But Mass Natural, as a separate kind of entity, has not done that. So I can follow up with the state and get clarification on exactly what day outside of, or maybe people who specifically need that
Yes.
date. And then I can also ask them for updates on the other side of MNF, kind of providing more dates as well.
Now, the record request email, I just sent that to you, Abby, directly?
Yep. You
Okay,
can send that to me, I'll
perfect.
forward it to Ellen, that's fine.
Okay, thank you. And just one last comment. Thank you for reading that, unilateral administrative order. Thank you for reading it through. It sounds like you really understand what's going on, and we're trying to understand it just as much. It's very complicated language, very complicated report, so thank you.
Yeah, it's been quite an effort. Abby and I have spent a lot of time over the last 3 years going to all the DEP meetings, trying to keep abreast and getting our fingers whacked every now and then to say, you're not responsible for this. The only thing that the MCP requires is that the parties involved, like the PRPs and the LSPs, need to copy us on stuff. Now, what we are responsible for is we can be responsible for water outside of the PFAS contamination and installation and decommissioning of wells. That's the extent of our authority when it comes to this area. But as far as PFAS goes, the state overrides us. We're preempted from.
We get it, but
And near as I can tell from all the literature that I've run and the meetings I've been at, they've been pretty successful in filtering out the PFAS.
yeah, but we're also going on 4 years with those, and they're starting to break, and I start to see a lot of issues on social media of residents asking, what is this? This is broken. So, yeah,
Yeah, I understand.
thank you.
And Abby's very good. I see emails pop up every day or every other day where she's taking a residence request and trying to forward it to the appropriate people that need to know about it, whether it's DEP, whether it's MNF Council, or whether it be the LSP.
Thank you.
And also, if that report is confusing or you have any specific questions, you can send those our way and we'll pass them on.
Yeah,
to Scott
I
Carter.
put out a post for residents to do that,
Perfect.
yeah.
And when we have that kind of, I keep calling it Spark Notes version, but when he's gonna go through that big report and kind of pull out the important details,
Mhm.
we can provide that as well to residents so they can kind of read the shortened
Thank you.
version.
Either of you have any other, no? Do you have anything other than what we've talked about, Abby, that,
Nope.
okay? I'm gonna give this to you. What I need, there are 2 folders on there. And if someone here could, print out the documents that are in the 2 folders and keep them separate.
Okay.
And let me know when they're done, so I can come pick them up. And
How long are the documents?
they're Word documents, they're not, I don't have anything in there that's 200 pages or anything. They're mostly 1-2 page. things.
Really quick, I'm just so glad because John just emailed me and it popped up. There was a proposal from John regarding the PFAS and this.
John,
John Lutz, apologies.
okay,
And he had these potential changes that he wanted to see to the well regulations, and actually it looks like he said if we could talk about it next meeting, he would appreciate it. I just confirmed that's what he just said. Cause I did have it on there to discuss,
I did read that.
yes, he would like it on the next agenda, so, just keep in mind, this is on the drive, and I'll put it on the one for the new meeting as well, his proposed changes.
Yeah, the only thing I would question when it comes to regulations, that's a proposal for a new regulation. Regulations generally take anywhere from 3 to 6 months to process. And, John should know that because he used to sit in the
He
seat.
should know that. Let's open them back up.
So, more than willing to look at it
Oh, yeah,
and discuss it.
perfect. I did let him know we would chat about it, but I'm glad he just emailed because I did
Okay.
my other items.
There was a statement in the rebuttal or the appeal that I'd like for you to get with Eric down in the building department,
Oh,
attorney.
They all were certified.
What?
They all were certified by the town.
Yeah, they were all inspected by the
I
town,
did.
okay? I'd like something in writing from the building department, i.e. the plumbing inspector, I believe is what he's referring to.
Yes, yeah.
I find that statement very hard to believe. That Attorney Haler, not that it's not true, but his claim was every one of the filtration systems, POETs plus the secondary filtration, have been inspected by the town.
Mm-hmm.
And I know our department hasn't
Our
inspected.
department has not.
Okay.
I have nothing.
Stephanie?
I'm good.
Trinity? We're done.
Thank you.
I vote to adjourn.
Second.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
No problem.
6:03.
6:03. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, appreciate it.
You know, these meetings